It was an unfortunate result of something where we were trying to do good. And now let's move on and let's fix the problems that were uncovered.
Our other top story tonight, Councilmember Betsy Rue is calling for an easier way to create pop-up shelters. It comes after she made a check-in with codes and regulations, and it led to the Streetery Food Hall emergency shelter operation being shut down. She shared an email with WHAS 11 that she says had an unattended domino effect. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Doug Proffitt.
And I'm Connie Leonard. As our Alexandra Goldberg reports, now she's on a mission to ensure the abrupt shutdowns won't happen again.
It was a disaster. It was absolutely not what I ever intended, and it's like, okay, how do we fix it?
The Streetery Food Hall, a Beechmont restaurant, was shut down earlier this month for operating as an emergency pop-up shelter during freezing conditions without a permit. District 21 Councilwoman Betsy Rue admits her email to Codes and Regulations is the reason why.
So I did ask the Director of Codes and Regs, out of an abundance of caution, to please check and make sure that he's not going to get in trouble.
It reads, quote, "I want to be proactive and avoid any repercussions for a local restaurant owner trying to help our unhoused neighbors during this snowy weather. Is he in violation of any codes that we need to be aware of?" Young Tran is the restaurant's owner.
I thought it was going to come out or sounding like they were trying to shut us down, but I think she had every good intentions for the shelter.
Both Rui and Tran are pushing for future change so businesses have a more streamlined process of creating a temporary pop-up shelter the next time severe weather hits the region.
We know we have a problem, so let's develop a process so that we can do this again. As Director Price said, there need to be exceptions for all the rules, and a pop-up shelter is one of those exceptions.
Emily Martin with Metro Codes and Regulations says currently they don't issue temporary shelter permits, but they do issue temporary change of use permits. That's how the councilwoman and the organization South End Street Angels were able to quickly pivot to Sojourn Church Carlisle as a replacement.
It'll look very different to get a restaurant changed from its original use of a restaurant to a shelter versus a gymnasium to a shelter.
But she says Rui's idea is a project they're open to.
Focus on the future where things can change, permits can be in place, actions can be taken quicker when emergencies are happening.
In Beechmont, Alexandra Goldberg, WHAS 11 on your side.
So Alexandra joins us now. So they got the email and they were over there very quickly. So, I mean, is it a case of kind of lost in translation as far as they saw the email and they read it as, let's get over there and take care of the situation instead of, you know, let me know if you have to do anything?
Connie, I think this is an example of the fire marshal doing his job. It was a matter of hours after that email was sent to the fire marshal showing up at Streetery and having to take action, shutting it down. Of course, the next day, Councilwoman Rui was, really active that morning, trying to find one of those temporary replacements. So folks who were taking advantage of the Streetery could then pivot to Sojourn Church Carlisle.
I do think the Streetery, though, has a great argument, and they've pointed this out since our reporting on Wayside Christian Mission, the biggest shelter, not having a license for 16 months. They now got one today. That's one of our developing stories. But they're going, look, you shut us down fast. A bit of a hypocrisy going on here.
Doug, I asked Metro Codes and Regulations about that. Metro Codes and Regulations said that they declined to answer that. But remember, the process to get a full-time shelter license like Wayside is completely different from these temporary licenses.
That's a good point, and we're looking at it all sides, and you're correct to point that out. They were doing their job. That's what they're paid to do with the city regulations and codes. Thank you, Alexandra.